So now that we have all the damage numbers, it makes sense to have a little bit of a discussion to contextualize the damage number here. Now, the first thing everybody needs to notice here is that the damage listed here does not take the parry bonus into factor, and it would make sense to take this bonus into a consideration because the most consistent way to get a gun strike in this game is to use a parry, and anytime when you parry an enemy, you will be able to get this parry bonus. For those of you who aren't aware what the parry bonus is, it's basically a 50% extra damage taken by the enemy that's been parried or perfectly blocked. Now, there are some major breakpoints that I've listed that I think are pretty important for gun strike damage. And the first one is 140, which allows you to 2-shot Rubric Marines, Chaos Spawn, Tangors, and also 3-shot Sorcerers and 4-shot most extremist enemies. And the next breakpoint is 154, which is 2-shotting a warrior, and then 173 for 3-shotting most extremist enemies. And let's go over the list here real quick. Now, because we are taking the 50% damage or 50% parry bonus into consideration, what we really need to do is to divide the breakpoints that we've had earlier, 140, 154 and 173 by 1.5 to get the numbers without that bonus. So that means for 140 we need at least 93.34 damage to reach the breakpoint. Now, the first three weapons on our list, the heroic heavy bolt pistol, the heavy bolt pistol, and the bolt pistol, both damage variants, will clear this threshold without any perks. And there are very few perks in the game currently that buff your gun strike damage, and one of them happens to be on the tactical, heightened vigor, which is a 10% gun strike damage bonus after perfect parry or perfect dodge. And with that extra 10%, it might not seem like a whole lot, but with that 10%, you're actually able to get over the 140 damage breakpoint with the top 6. So anything that is all the way down to the plasma pistol, you'll be able to reach this 140 breakpoint. So that's a fairly substantial buff. Now we also have the power axe, which gives you a 20% bonus after you've entered power stance. And with 20%, all you need is as long as your gun strike damage is over 77.78 damage, you'll be able to reach that threshold. Meaning, for our list, anything from the top 8 will be able to clear this threshold. Now, we also have the Assault's team perk, Proven Efficiency, which is a 30% bonus. And this means that we only need 72.27 damage. 72.27 damage to cross the 140 threshold. And this will make every weapon from the top 9 be able to clear that threshold. Now, Proven Efficiency and High Vigor doesn't really do much for us here. You'll be able to get the 140 breakpoint with 66.68 damage, which means nothing's changed. Everything from the top 9 will still reach this breakpoint. And finally, we have Proven Efficiency plus Power Strike, which would put our damage required to be 62.23, and that will allow the Infernal pistol, the damage version of the Infernal pistol, to crush this threshold. Next, we have the 154 breakpoint, which requires 102.67 damage without any perks. So without any perks, the top 3 again will clear this breakpoint. And this is the reason why the top 3, the heroic heavy bolt pistol, the heavy bolt pistol, and the bolt pistol with the damage variants, are very strong because they don't need any perks to reach both 140 and 154. We don't have to talk about High Vigor here because it doesn't really do anything for us here. But with the Power Access Power Strike, which gives a 20% bonus, it will allow anything from the top 5 to reach the 154 breakpoint, which requires 85.556 damage. And if we have Proven Efficiency, it will bring anything in the top 7, as long as it's doing more than 78.98 damage, we'll be able to cross that threshold. So with this, you can kind of see how powerful Proven Efficient it really is, because you're able to clear a lot of these very important breakpoints with most of the firearms or most of the secondary firearms in the game. And now we have Proven Efficiency plus Heightened Vigor, which will allow any weapon that deals more than 73.33 damage to cross the 154 threshold. And that would be anything from top 9. Now, if we have both proven efficiency and power strike, anything from the top 9, anything that does more than 68.445 damage will be able to clear the 154 threshold. Finally, we'll have the 173 damage breakpoint, which would require 115.34 damage. Naturally, with the top 3, as long as you have heightened vigor, you'll be able to reach this breakpoint. So this is a case where heightened vigor is actually kind of powerful. If you're using the heroic heavy bolt pistol, and the bolt pistol, you'll be able to reach the 3-shot extremis breakpoints with just 1 perk. So that's pretty nice to have. And if you have proven efficiency, anything that deals more than 88.72 gun strike damage, so anything within the top 5 will reach this threshold. If you have proven efficiency plus heightened vigor, anything in the top 6, anything that deals more than 82.39 damage will be able to cross this threshold. And then we have proven efficiency and power strike. Anything in the top 8 will be able to cross this threshold. Now, there is another more esoteric breakpoint for the Biovore, which has 600 health compared to every other extremis. So we need 200 damage to reach a 3-shot breakpoint for the Biovore. And the number we would need here is 133.34 damage by default, and none of the weapons are able to reach this. None of the weapons is able to reach this breakpoint. So, and that's also true for heightened vigor. It just doesn't do enough for any of the weapons to reach that breakpoint. Now, starting from power strike, the only weapon that can reach this breakpoint with just power strike is Retribution's Bequest. And if you have proven efficiency, all top 3 gun strike weapons or top 3 secondary weapons will be to reach this breakpoint. Now, even if you have heightened vigor, it still wouldn't change anything. Now, with proven efficiency and power strike, the top 5 weapons will be able to cross the 200 damage breakpoint. And we do need to talk about the Retribution's Bequest here a little bit, because even though it does have the highest gun strike damage in the game, it unfortunately doesn't really cross a lot of different breakpoints or compared to the heavy bolt pistol and the bolt pistol. And it's kind of tragic, really, because if we look at the 173 damage threshold, you need to have 115.34, and the heroic heavy bolt pistol is literally just 1.5 or so. Yeah, 1.5 damage away from being able to get that really nice breakpoint. Obviously, it would be kind of overkill for everything else. It doesn't really do anything more different compared to the other damage version of the bolt pistols and the heavy bolt pistols. But it just seems like such a missed opportunity there to not have damage just be a little bit better. I think as long as it has 0.1 damage over the current version, you'll be able to get this breakpoint. And using a whole perk just to reach this specific breakpoint on a very specific gun just seems like kind of sucky. Even though it does mean that the tacticals class perk, heightened vigor, is kind of strong here. Now, on the other end, we have the Infernal pistols, which I don't really know what Saber is thinking about there. They don't want it to be a gun strike weapon. They want the heavy bolt pistol to be the gun strike weapon, but the Infernal pistol has a lot of problem with its gun strikes. It has very short range. The damage is very sad. I don't understand why it should be doing the least amount of gun strike damage. Maybe it shouldn't be doing the highest, but it sure as hell shouldn't be doing the lowest amount of damage. It does have some perk, I guess. It does have an AoE compared to most gun strike weapons, but the plasma also has AoE, and that one doesn't suffer the same problem as the Infernal pistol. And yeah, I get it. They shouldn't make the Infernal pistol have the same gun strike range as the other handguns, but at the same time, you want to have some trade-offs too, right? In exchange for range, I would assume that damage is the obvious thing to have, especially with how finicky, how short the range is too. And yeah, by this calculation, you just can't make up for its lack of gun strike damage in a lot of cases. And I don't really agree with the stance that it should be relegated to just a horde clear quote unquote weapon, or like the stagger weapon. Even though stagger and horde clear are both very strong options in this game. I feel like if you're meleeing, that's decent enough of horde clear. Even if you're using a fencing weapon, there are mechanics set in the game that allows you to have some degree of control over a horde in melee. And I mean, it is useful to have a pistol that allows you to blast a large group of enemy and then get all your contested health back instantly. That is something that is a strength. But at the same time, like the gun strike damage being so low also meant that the CHP recovery is kind of low. And you can see this problem with the Neo Volkai as well. Even though the Neo Volkai's damage isn't like awful when it comes to recovering contested health, outside with the gun strike, I should say, the Infernal pistol just doesn't deserve to have such a low gun strike damage. In any case, that is the gun strike ranking video. Hopefully you learned something today, and have a good one.